Okay, everybody, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. We will get started, and today is actually our last live class because of how everything lines up. So, just so you know, this lesson is being recorded for learning purposes. And real quick classroom expectations, make sure we're following along with the Nearpod lesson, using the chat tools respectfully and appropriately, and also responding to questions and instructions the first time. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about fraud and identity theft and some of those things like that, which you got to be aware of as you're dealing in the market. There's some, I guess, what you call sharks out there that can always get to you. So just so you're aware of what's going on this week, we have quizzes 29 to 34 that are due. So those will be due on Friday. And I don't think I've zeroed out the other last week's, but I'm going to be going in pretty soon and zeroing out last week's. So make sure you have that done. As you know, we just watch that video and go from there. But the overall picture, we just have one more week, and then we're actually going to winter break from then on out. And then once you get back, the end of the block is the 11th. So let's get everything in before we go to winter break, so then we're not having to worry about it when we're trying to have a little bit of vacation and time with friends and family. So, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to be giving quizzes in the OLS, just like you have done all the other ones. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about ways to avoid identity theft, fraud, and all of those sorts of things. So what it is fraud is a deliberate or deceptive designation to basically unfair or unlawful gain to a person. And so what you're doing is you're kind of just cheating the consumer or finding a way around things to get monetary money. So identity theft, the true name is fraud. And so what people are looking for when they're doing that. So you always want to keep these things safe, like your social security number. People are going to know your name no matter what. It's kind of interesting. When I was in school, they actually would use like the last four of your social security number as like your ID to basically see like your grades and stuff like that. It was funny. Like the teacher would actually print out a paper, and then would actually have the last four of your social security number. And then you'd have to know the last four of your social security number in order to see what your grade was. We didn't have computers back then or anything like that. So everything was like paper and pencil. And so she would print that out and put it up there, but that would not fly today. Let's just say that. Anything, even partial parts of your social security number or birth dates or something like that, you kind of keep to yourself. So what I'm going to do is being deceptive and fraudful and stuff like that. If you like reading or you like shows, have any of you ever seen the movie Catch Me If You Can? You can put in the chat if you have. You have not. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, so this was a story about a young person that was actually under 18 at the time. He just looked a lot older, named Frank Abagnale Jr., and he's played by Leonardo DiCaprio in this show. But it's a true story back in the 1950s where he actually fraudulently was a pilot, a doctor, a lawyer, and he did that so he could swindle checks. So he actually never really he just got in that environment or whatever. And then with checks, he would go and he'd have to, depending on the number, they'd have to be routed all the way across the country. It's not like today where they can electronically verify it. But they would send it all the way across the country. So then like 2 weeks later, they would know that it was a bad check. So he forged checks. He was eventually caught and put in prison and that kind of stuff. and then he became a consultant for the FBI. But this story is about him. But this is where he faked being a pilot. So you might have to. We're going to watch just this really quick clip, just to show what I mean.
Hello.
Hi. Are you deadheading?
What?
Are you my deadhead to Miami?
Yes. Yeah, I'm the deadhead. Here you go.
You're a little late, but the jump seat is open.
You know, it's been a while since I've done this. Which one's the jump seat again?
Have a nice flight.
Are you my deadhead? Frank, Captain Oliver, John Larkin, the co-pilot, Fred Tully, flight engineer.
Frank Taylor, Pan Am. Thanks for giving me a lift, boys.
Go ahead and take a seat, Frank. We're about to push. What kind of equipment are you on? DC-8?
707.
You turning around on the red eye?
I'm jumping puddles for the next few months, trying to earn my keep running leapfrogs for the weak and weary.
No shame in that. We all did it.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
Would you like a drink after takeoff?
Milk?
80 knots. Check.
All right. So if it is PG-13, but if you do want to see that show, it'd tell you a little bit about fraud and deception, that kind of stuff, identity theft. But anyways, very cool story, and a really good movie if you want to watch it. But some things that you need to do, you got to be a little bit skeptical about people when you go out into the world. So some things is you need to have some responsibility to be safe, but you have your rights, and there's certain government agencies out there that are there to protect you from this part of things. So for example, you have responsibilities to use products safely, to seek information and use it on to make decisions, to choose good and services carefully, and to speak up and let you know your likes and dislikes be known. So you can do that a lot through like rating things on Google reviews or different ways of that. But you need to let yourself be known. The different agencies that are out there to kind of support like our health and everything. The Food and Drug Administration, they're there. The Consumer Protection Safety Commission. So being able to make sure products that come in are safe. There were like stories back in the time that China was making baby toys with lead in them, and when the babies would like suck on them, they'd start getting lead poisoning. Little things like that. Federal Trade Commission, Better Business Bureau, all those places are out there to protect you. So you just got to know your rights and what they can kind of do. Also, when you're looking to go into a bank and stuff like that, make sure that they are federally backed and insured. So most banks or credit unions, they are insured up to $250,000, and they will let you keep that in there. And if the economy took a dive or whatever, you're not going to lose your money. It's going to be safe and secure in there. So some ways to avoid identity theft: make sure you're monitoring your credit every now and then. Don't give out your personal information to unknown people or companies. Protect your credit and debit cards. So I know every once in a while a fraudulent charge comes on my credit card, and then I have to just call. That's the biggest reason why I use credit cards, is because of that zero liability policy. If somebody uses my card, it wasn't me, I just call them and dispute it, and they don't charge me, right? And I got to make sure it wasn't me, right, or I'll get in trouble. But then like the debit cards, if they do it, it comes right out of your bank account, and sometimes that's not good. So I would probably use either a prepaid card or a credit card by purchasing anything online. Protect your mailbox, your wallet, passwords, pins, anything like that. Make sure you have antivirus, that kind of stuff to protect yourself. Okay, so we're going to just run through a little scenario. There's not many of you in class here. If you're not on the Nearpod, I guess you can answer through the chat. But tell me what you think you should be aware of in this situation. So Bethany purchased a new pair of shoes from the internet. What steps should she take to ensure her identity was protected while making the purchase? So what are some things she can do to protect herself? And if you're not on the Nearpod, you please use the chat to answer these questions. All right, any thoughts? Okay, let me give you, oh, there we go. Check if the site is used reliable before purchasing. Yeah, so a lot of times there's a place like in the corner of the website here, I'll have like a little lock thing, just showing that the site's like encrypted and stuff like that, especially when you're making purchases on that area, making sure you do there. Confirm that they've not been leaked yet. Check HTTPS status. Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of little things like that. Make sure the payment that you're making the payment through, it's like a reputable place. Like places like Amazon and stuff like that, those are pretty reputable. But there's some places that I've made purchases from and I never got the product, right? And so you got to be a little bit careful on some things like that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about scams and schemes. Scam is a fraudulent or deceptive scheme. Let me show you a little bit about how criminals work. This little video you can find these on YouTube, but over in Britain, the schemes and scams, these kind of things happened so frequently that they went and put out an actual television series called The Real Hustle to kind of show people what's going on and just verify that, try to get them information that that these things are happening. You got to protect yourself. So watch this. This is very interesting. These guys that came up with this scheme were very tricky, but hopefully you'll kind of understand why you need to be careful.
Jess is in a busy shopping centre promoting a new left luggage facility. And for a limited time only, these lockers are completely free. This is the lockup. With so many people weighed down by bags, it's not long before Jess finds someone to make use of this great offer.
Yeah, so you got quite a few bags with you today. Would you like to use one of our free lockers? You can have one each. Yeah, you're welcome. Put your stuff in there. I don't know if you can shove it all in one, or I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you 2 lockers. There's yours.
Thank you.
And one for you. There you go. Just make sure you're back before 9.
And the other lockers also start filling up. That's a bag of shopping and a backpack.
I'll put all in there. Thank you very much.
That's another bag locked up perfectly safe and secure, not in any danger at all of being stolen by unscrupulous hustlers. 2 hours later, the customers start coming back. But instead of finding Jess, they're faced with a big empty space where the lockers and their bags used to be. They head into a nearby shop to ask if they've seen 40 metal lockers vanishing into thin air. And they're not the only ones wondering where all their belongings have gone. Let's take a look at what they didn't see.
Just here.
This was the mall earlier in the day.
Why don't you go just there?
You think so? That'd be nice, Come on, someone might steal them.
In a matter of minutes, this empty corner of the shopping centre was transformed into the Hustlers' left luggage facility.
All right, cup of tea. Bye-bye.
Nah.
Once Jess had collected as many bags, rucksacks and carriers as she could,
Do you want 2 of them?
it was time to call back the hired muscle.
Ooh, heavy.
And as quickly as the seemingly permanent lockers appeared, they were gone. And along with all those bags, went into the back of the Hustlers' van, never to be seen again.
There was a lady down there that was having some lockers there for anybody to put their bags inside. And basically my friend put her bag in there. And I was saying, no, I ain't putting my bag in there because I actually come here often. So I've never seen such a thing. So I thought, no way.
I think my passport's in there as well. So I really need my bag. I can't believe it. I really can't.
Hustlers are always looking for ways to separate you from your belongings. And there's nothing they like better than finding a way to get you to give them your stuff.
Anytime you have to leave your luggage in lockers, make sure you're using reputable facilities like at a train station and an airport. Of course, if you want to be sure about the safety of your belongings, the best way is to keep them with you at all times.
Whenever you're invited to part with your valuables, whether it's locking them away or depositing them somewhere, if there is something unfamiliar about what you're being asked to do, don't be afraid to double check. You know, if it means going to a shopping centre and say, are these cabinets new? Are they okay? Then do so. Don't be embarrassed about it. It's your money, your goods, your valuables that you're parting with. So just be safe about it.
All right, so that's just one of many of them that they can show that of how people try to get some schemes like that. So some schemes that you may have heard of before: a pyramid scheme, Ponzi scheme, affinity fraud, predatory lending, predatory lending. A little bit more on that. Just they go after people that are vulnerable that don't know. So young people, right? They're after you right now, and they're after the older generation that maybe don't have all their faculties right now. My grandma, when she was alive, she would get phone calls all the time, you know, just saying, hey, I remember I was over there one time, and she answered the phone and somebody was claiming that it was one of her grandsons and they were in prison and they needed to go send them money. And unfortunately, fortunately I was there. We got her off, hung her up, but she thought it was real. And she's like, why is so-and-so in prison right now? Or it got locked up in jail, and she asked him, why don't you talk to your mom and that kind of stuff. So unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that are sharks, and you got to be really careful with some of this stuff. So so some things, there's some bogus schools, charities, online auctions, advanced fee scam. This is something that I've seen sometimes. I was actually in a grocery store and I was using my credit card, which is great. So I used my credit card. The person behind me, it was my friend, they used a debit card. And what happened is they used the debit card, and on the thing where they put no to receive no cash back, that was actually changed. I don't know if that was on purpose or just kind of a accidental thing, but when he pushed it, it said it actually gave cash back. And I think what was going on is the person was putting that, saying the cash back, they'd open the register, grab like the $20 cash back, put it in their pocket, and nobody would know any different until later, until they came back and disputed it. So you got to be careful. Okay, scheming, farming, wireless hacking, shoulder surfing, computer a lot of the stuff's technology now. So you just got to be careful when you're out there. So the biggest thing is don't be a victim. Make sure you report the things that are there. Don't be intimidated by people. You know, it's your, like just that guy said on the video, it's your belongings, your money. You don't have to be embarrassed about it. They're yours, right? And you can ask all the questions you want. So, okay, that led us through today. Just a reminder, quizzes 29 to 34, and this is our last class. So let me know if you have any questions. I'll stick around for a little bit, but thank you guys for joining me this block, and get everything done as soon as you can so you have a great winter break.